The goal is to always make something look expensive, but not actually be expensive. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. So instead of coming up with something revolutionary on my own, what I like to do is browse furniture pieces on expensive websites to get some inspiration. Then once I find something I really like, that's when I start to take action. I'm making a console table, and these pocket holes are the secret sauce. Using it this way. I use this pocket hole jig for pretty much every single project I work on, and if it's not already linked on my Amazon storefront, I'll make sure it is. Just like that. Okay, we have my little helper today. She's gonna help me put this together. We put tape on the joints so that way when the glue squeezes out, it'll squeeze out onto the tape and not the wood and ruin the wood.
First, we're gonna take this glue. This is Gorilla Glue, and we're gonna...
That's not Gorilla Glue. There. Make sure it covers the entire area. I'm going to fold it together. Like this. Okay.
Don't you want people to know I call you Mama?
Do I want people to know that?
Yeah. Don't you want me to be myself?
Yeah. Nice and slow. Perfect. Okay. Here's our frame. It's a big table, right? Now we're gonna attach a couple cross pieces, and this will determine the width of the table. Next up is this piece. Oh no. I cut it too short. Can't believe I did that.
It's unlucky.
No, that was just dumb. What should we do?
I feel like we should rotate it. Rotate this.
You think?
Yeah.
You think that's the best look?
I feel like it'll look the cleanest.
Now that the pieces are rotated, the piece of plywood will fit perfectly in this little slot. Okay.
What are we gonna put on this?
I don't know.
You said blankets, right? I guess we could put like baskets hiding stuff.
Perfect. Start with the corners. We can clamp all four.
I'm excited to set it up.
Me too.
And put stuff on it.
Yeah.
Are you hungry?
No, are you?
Yeah.
So.
Ready. Oh, that's heavy.
You think?
You don't? Wait. Oh.
Does it look good?
I think so.
This thing turned out to be much larger than I was expecting. Right now it's big and boring, and we want to make it interesting. Right now these joints are smooth and square, but I want to round them off to give it a really cool polished look, and I can do that with a router. I put a specific bit on this router, and it's going to give me the design I want on these corners. So let's try it out. Okay, I'm completely done routering, and now I'm gonna sand this completely smooth and we'll see how it turned out. And I should have done this before, but I'm gonna put some wood filler on a few of these nail holes that we created when we put the piece together. I definitely got carried away, and this is gonna require a lot more sanding to make sure this all comes off, but this is gonna look much better in the end because of it. We're gonna give this 24 hours to dry, and then we're gonna sand it off, and then it'll be ready to stain. The wood filler has had a day to cure, so now we're going to sand it off, and hopefully these seams will look less like seams. Okay, now after sanding with a rougher grit sandpaper, now I'm gonna take a wet rag and wipe everything down. This will not only clean off the dust, but it's also going to raise the wood grain, so that way when I sand with a smoother grit, it's gonna make it super smooth. Now we just put on a 240 grit piece of sandpaper, and this can make it real smooth and real nice. That is what it looks like. And now we're gonna take this inside to stain it because I don't want birds to poop on it. Before we start slapping stain onto this piece of furniture, I'm going to put pre-stain on this. This will allow the wood to accept the grain more evenly and make the stain more smooth. So let's put this on. We'll wait about 15 minutes and then we'll put on the actual stain. I cannot wait to put this in our living room. We just want to get a nice even coat with this pre-stain so that way when we stain it, it'll soak it up nice and evenly. Now that the whole thing's covered, we're going to wait 15 to 20 minutes, let it dry out, and then whatever's left over, we'll just wipe it down with a rag to make sure it's completely dry and ready to receive the stain. Okay, a little time has passed and now we're just going to wipe it down. Make sure there's nothing left over still on the wood. I lost my can opener, so just using a screwdriver to open this. I always use an old cotton shirt and cut it up into about 10 segments and use this to apply stain on all my wood projects. We're gonna give this dark walnut a good stir. Start at the bottom and work up. Gabby hasn't even seen this since we put all the pieces together, so I'm really curious what her reaction is gonna be when this piece is finished. It's important when you're applying stain to apply it in large, smooth strokes like this. And don't let fresh drops sit on the wood for too long, otherwise it'll soak up unevenly. And then you'll have to live with those spots for the rest of your life. So far, this is looking really good.
John!
What?
Didi's here.
Oh, shit. Didi's my grandma. This is looking so good, though. The stain is on and now it's going to take about 4 hours for it to dry. And then we're going to put a couple clear coats on. That's usually recommended. I might only just put one on and call it good. And then this thing is completely done. If you want to put together a piece of furniture that's going to last forever, this is how it's done. We're living without electricity, so we're limited on the number of things we can get done. But thankfully, we can put a clear coat on this piece of furniture. I'm going to show you how to do it. Proper light is very important for this project. So what I'm going to do is set up a light opposite of the side I'm working on. Start on one side and let's do long strokes to prevent streaks and drips as much as possible. Adding this clear coat is going to improve the durability of this finish, so that way if someone leaves a glass of ice water on this, it won't ruin the finish or the stain work. You can see I missed a few spots, but it's best to just leave them alone. We'll get them on the second coat. So you can see there are dripples, and we just want to make sure we brush everything out. Okay, it looks super shiny right now, but it will dry to a much more satin look. And then I'm gonna wait several hours, sand it to knock off any of the rough spots. Then we'll put a second coat on and then it'll be super smooth. And then we're gonna finally move it into the living room and set it all up. This is typically the part I'm most impatient, but this is also super important to get right. The first coat of polyurethane has dried, so we're gonna use a fine piece of sandpaper to knock off the rough areas. You wanna make sure you're doing this by hand. If you don't, there's a good chance you're over sanding and you're taking too much off. Now I have a damp rag and a dry rag to pick up all the dust. We want to make sure this is super clean before we put the second coat on. Round 2 of the polyurethane. We've given it a day to cure, so I'm just going to sand it very lightly, and I think we're ready to put it in the living room. It'll actually take a few days for the finish to fully cure before we can start using it, so we had to wait before bringing it inside. And the console may look finished now, but what really sets it over the top is how it's styled. And I'm very lucky to have Gabby's eye for design. She has an amazing talent for pulling everything together, and because of her, this piece turned out even better than I imagined.
Yay!
That looks good. Love it?
Love it.
And what's even more exciting is that we're starting to fill the rest of this room with furniture we plan on keeping for a long time. It's incredible to see the space slowly transform into something that feels more like us, and every project we tackle brings us closer to that vision. So let me know what you think of this table and how it fits into the room, because I always appreciate your feedback. And thanks for following along, and I hope you picked up some tips or inspiration for your own projects. I've got many more in the works, so stick around and I'll see you around in the next one.